Aloha and Tashi Delay from Kauai Tibetan Buddhist Dharma Center here on the island of Kauai. We present this class every Thursday night, 6 to 8 o'clock, through the program Zoom, and it is recorded, put on our website for people viewing in other time zones around the planet. I'm Lama Tashi. This class tonight is in answer to questions from many students. What is the spirituality of the Sutra and Tantric tradition of Tibetan Buddhism? Because we're always talking about we practice spirituality. Spirituality means the use of the natural state of the environmental world around us and the natural mind of sentient beings that inhabit it, and in particular humans. When we use these forms of spiritual practice, it's for transforming the mind from what we call the reactive mind or relative mind to non-reactive or natural mind. In the process of doing this, we use in Tibetan shamanistic Lamaism, called Tibetan Buddhism, the Sutra and Tantric tradition that evolved from Shakyamuni Buddha in India and evolved into higher and higher states of practice and awareness development in Tibet and all the Himalayan countries, now transferred to Europe, the United States, North America, South America, and around the planet. When you practice spirituality, first of all, you have to understand that the mind is inhabiting two realities simultaneously. The reality that we all know is called the drama world, one of emotionality and judgment. And it takes into account all of the social structures of all the humans on the planet today, and also includes the animal and spirit world. All of this over time has been mapped and identified according to this emotional response system that we have evolved with. It is the cause of the Dharma. Dharma is the Buddha's teachings that evolve wisdom, or what we say, innate awareness, natural awareness. And this awareness is actually equal to the awareness factor of the world around us, our universe. So tonight we're going to present this as a practice of both the Shine and Latang levels of meditation, but with a more heady application of what we are actually doing with whatever sutra method we're practicing, or whatever tantric method we are practicing, or a combination of both, or none of the above, as when we move into the contemplation stages of both sutra and tantra, we call Latang or Mahamudra. When we start Tibetan Buddhist practice, first of all, we must understand, why is it necessary? Why has this Dharma evolved for 2,600 years, unchanged, to what we are presenting today globally? And when I say we, I'm talking about all the Tibetan Lamas of Tibetan Buddhism. All the men and women are trained in these two natures of mind and how to handle these two realities. It's important to understand the reason for the Dharma. And it comes under the heading of, we say, ordinary practices, ordinary basic practice, preliminary practice. And they do involve meditation and contemplation, but they're identifying the underlying need and the cause of the Dharma. The first one of these four It's called the four thoughts that turn the mind to mind training or Dharma practice. And the first one is each and every one of us has a precious opportunity already in place to do this. And for some of us, we have the 8 conditions that would cause us not to do it removed, and we have the 10 opportunities to do it in place. And so that's called the reminding ourselves that we have this precious human body and the opportunity to use the Dharma for ourselves, others, and the world around us. The second thought that we start with each day is about death and impermanence. Each and every one of us will die. We don't know which comes first, the next thought or the next breath. So we practice according to that situation of impermanence. The third thought is karma. Karma is easily understood as cause and effect. This karma is applied to the world around us, which is growing, developing, and evolving because of its karmic structure. But in the human condition, this karma actually explains from previous lives to this life, we have developed tendencies. And these tendencies that are carried from one life to another are like a shadow that follows us in this transition. So when we think of the opportunity that we have to practice, it's because we have good karma and we should do it now before we leave this world, this body. The fourth idea of enforcing your impetus to practice Dharma is conditioned existence. What is conditioned existence is simply taking birth in animal, human, or spirit realms out of emotional response of one's reactive mind. And it is unfavorable because, for instance, in this human condition, if you take birth, then you are going to age, get sick, and leave this body, die. Based on that, all favorable condition, whether it be in heaven, hell, or in between, the spirit worlds, animals, and human worlds, is unfavorable. Then besides that, everything is constantly changing moment to moment. Physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, all of us, which are called sentient beings, experience pain and suffering. And it's all based on all of what I've just mentioned. Therefore, we practice these dharmas to transform all that into states of higher and higher awareness to delete this reactive program which we've installed in our human consciousness. The Dharma practice is based on the need to connect to not only the human condition, but the animal world, which is the natural world around us and inside of us, and the spirit world, which inhabits all of that, but also pervades the entire universe. And all of this and all of those sentient beings are integrated into each and every human being individually. There is no such thing as separation. Based on that, spirituality arises for us by taking refuge, which we'll do in a moment. But for those of you who are taking notes, I want to list the 7 levels of spiritual practice that inhabit all of the sutra and tantric methods. The first one is taking refuge. in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, Lama deities, and protectors, as presented in the Kagyu tradition with the refuge tree, which is all the lineage lamas, all the Buddhas, all the bodhisattvas, all the deities, all the protectors, and all the dakini. All of that is your support. That is the basic tendency of all Buddhists, this taking of refuge. And in our tradition, we do the tantric practice of prostrations in connection with the refuge and the 6-line prayer of the bodhisattva practices. So all of that is the number one level of spiritual practice in our tradition. Number 2 is purifying to remove obstacles to this Dharma practice, meditation and so forth, by doing the purification practices of Vajrasattva. Number 3 is to make offerings of everything. And so we have the 8 offering bowls, offering water for bathing, water for practice, perfume, incense, flowers, food, and drink, and sound. All of that comes under the making of offerings. But when you're doing refuge and Vajrasattva and making offerings, it's not only for you, it's for everybody in the universe that you're doing it.
Does that include mandala offerings or no?
Yeah, the mandala offerings is also included,
Okay.
which is offering everything in the universe to your guru and to the spirits to acquire what is necessary to not only be healthy, so that you can do your practice skillfully. And that these mandala offerings actually produce good health and wealth. So making offerings is number 3. That also involves making special offerings in the tantric tradition, which we'll discuss later. Number 4 is Guru Yoga itself, which means simply that you and all sentient beings together are taking refuge in the Lama and all of the Lama's symbols used for mind training practice. In the Mahamudra tradition, that's all of the symbols of the Sutra tradition and Tantric tradition. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 spiritual practices. And they are called the preliminary practices of Sutra and all Sutra and Tantric practice. Then also in the Guru Yoga, you not only honor the Guru by respecting him being the source of all accomplishments, and also requesting the Guru to stay in this world, teach the Dharma, and not pass into nirvanic states of bliss in his consciousness.
Is that number 4?
No, that's number. So those last 3 are added to the first 4. So honoring the Guru's virtuous activity, requesting the teacher to stay is number 6. Not passing into nirvana is part of that. And number 7 is whatever we do of these first 6 is dedicate all of that at each level to everyone else.
Could you say all 7 of them again?
The first one is taking refuge and, if possible, doing prostration. Number 2 is Vajrasattva, practice to purify the mind's negative karma and tendencies. Number 3 is to make mandala offerings together with any other form of offering. Number 4 is the Guru Yoga of praying that all sentient beings together are honoring the Guru, and by doing that we rejoice in his spiritual activity, his or hers, We request the Guru to teach the Dharma, as we use that term, turn the Dharma
Is
wheel.
that all number 4?
No, that's number 6.
So number 4 is what?
Number 4 is Guru Yoga with these last 3
And the
categories.
last 3 are, number 5 is,
Number 1 is,
no, number 5 is,
number 5 is rejoicing in the virtuous activity of the teachers, gurus. Number 6 is praying for the teacher to stay in this world. Number 7 is to teach all aspects of Dharma.
okay.
And number 8 is to dedicate the merit of all of that constantly at each level to the benefit of all sentient beings. That all comes under the, it's incorporated into every practice we do. But it's not identified the way I just stated because it comes up in the sutra and various parts of the sutra text. And in Tantra, it's all there in tantric practice. Having the basis of this, as I stated before, the 4 thoughts to turn the mind to Dharma, and constantly doing these 8 things every day.
I thought there were 7.
The eighth is resting the mind in voidness.
Okay.
So yes. But actually 8 is dedicating the merit. Any question? Do you have a question?
Oh, no, I just thought there was 7, but now there's 8.
Yeah,
But that's
7,
okay.
7 is at the end of each level of this, resting the mind in voidness. So we're going to do
Okay.
that now. And then the second part of the class is about the tantric tradition called the Path of Skillful Means, using the 5 dhyana Buddhas and the 5 vehicles that are connecting to those 5 Buddha fields. So we sit with the back straight, eyes open, mouth closed, hands in a comfortable position, head slightly tilted. Bring the focus to the breath. And let all this headiness of these 7 levels of spirituality connecting us to the 8th level of voidness, Mahamudra, come to our heart chakra, the place where all the air surrounds. So you simply inhale and exhale. And contemplate just the breath. Let all the Lama's words of this explanation settle into your heart mind with your breath. Now we are settled, we take refuge. We're going to use the refuge sheet. The 4 thoughts are on the back part. And now we start with the altruistic motivation. In order to attain enlightenment for myself and limitless sentient beings, our mothers, we now all together take refuge and when possible, offer prostration. I'm going to chant that in Sanskrit to the benefit of all the spirits and humans listening to this teaching session tonight. Dagdang Jowa Namke Tadang Yampe Sem Chem Tamche Tudine Jungte Jisi Jangchu Ningpo Bachi Kibardu. Then we'll do the refuge prayer and the Bodhisattva, six Bodhisattva practice prayer in Sanskrit. We'll chant that. Kaden Lama Dampa Nam La Chap Su Chiyo Yedam Chokor Gilatso Nam La Chap Su Chiyo Sanjay Chom Dende Nam La Chap Su Chiyo Dampe Chur Nam La Chap Su Chiyo Alpe Gendun Nam La Chap Su Chiyo Awo Kandro Shokyung Sume Sho Yeshe Ki Shendang Dempa Nam La Chapsu Chiyo. In the Bodhisattva prayer, Sanjay Jodang Choki Chok Nam La Jangchu Vardu Dagni Chapsu Chi. Yagi Jinso Jipe Sonam Pi Jola Benjer Sanjay Jupar Sho. And we say this in English. We go for refuge to all the glorious holy lamas. We go for refuge to all the idams, the deities gathered in our mandala. We go for refuge to all the Buddhas, those who have conquered mind and gone beyond. We go for refuge to all this supreme Dharma. We go for refuge to all the noble Sangha. We go for refuge to all the Dakas and Dakinis, who are the protectors and defenders of Dharma. All of these possessing the eye of transcending awareness. To the Buddha, Dharma, and this supreme assembly, we go for refuge until enlightenment. May I, through the merit of practicing the six Bodhisattva disciplines, accomplish Buddhahood for the sake of all beings. In sutra practice, at the start of each practice session using texts, it would say to chant this refuge prayer and bodhisattva prayer 3 times. Then do whatever practice you are going to perform. Practices are called puja. Puja means offering, the offering to all others. When you do the 6 bodhisattva disciplines, you must understand that generosity, the practice of discipline with morality, ethics, and good manners, patience, the diligence of doing these 3 plus meditation, number 5, and contemplation into states of voidness called Mahamudra. Those 6 and the prostration practice are the first spiritual practice of all the Sutra and Tantra tradition. So no matter what you're performing or mixing Sutra and Tantra, each session should start with these 2 prayers, refuge and bodhicitta, 3 times, either in Tibetan or English. At the end of the session, dissolve it all into your heart center and contemplate the state of your natural mind as the all-pervasive nature of space. And we do this because in this totality of space exists all sentient beings, which is the purpose of our practice. And this purpose is relative because of the compassionate nature of doing all of this for them, but at the same time developing our own natural mind as the all-pervasive nature of all of this being simply an illusion, and all of us are deluded to the truth of that reality. So as you did with your breath, you simply connect to the present moment and relax your mind in its natural state, similar to the all-pervasive light of the boundless fabric of space. Then, with the guidance of the Lama, you move to the second practice of purification of all obstacles to your practice and realizing the results. And that's Vajrasattva. So we'll say 3 Vajrasattva mantras and 3 short Vajrasattva mantras, and then we'll rest the mind again in Mahamudra, voidness. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Denopa Tita Drito Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Mantra Yasa Sarva Karma Susa Me Sitsam Shriyam Kuru Ahaha Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramami Mansa Vajrava Mahasamaya Sattva Om Vajrasattva Vajragani Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Denopa Dita Jita Me Bhava Sudokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Memja Yasa Sarva Karma Susa Me Sitsam Shriyam Kuru Om Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramami Mansa Vajrava Mahasamaya Sattva Om Vajragani Vajrasattva Samaya Manopalaya Vajrasattva Denopa Dikajito Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Mantra Yasa Sarva Karma Susa Me Sitsam Shriyam Kuru Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramami Mansa Vajrava Mahasamaya Sattva. Then we dissolve the mandala of all sentient beings as Vajrasattva and Vajragini together into us, and we become those 2 deities and say the short mantra Om Vajragini Vajrasattva Mam Om Om Vajragini Vajrasattva Mam Om Vajragini Vajrasattva Mam Om Pe. And we dissolve those 2 deities into the Hum in our heart center along with all the mantra sound and vibrations of the practice, into again the present moment, connecting to boundless space, timeless awareness. Then we appear as the Lama sitting on our head on a lotus sun and moon seat, and we request the Lama to stay and teach the Dharma. We honor him for his virtuous activity and not pass into states of nirvanic bliss. In other words, don't move to celestial realms, rebirth. Stay in this world and teach the Dharma. When we do that, we move to the third level of spiritual practice of making offering. First of all, we have the 8 outer offerings of Argam, Padyam, Pupe, Dupe, Aloke, Gende, Nuide, Shabda, Chati, Sahum, Soha. And what that is water for drinking, water for bathing, flowers, incense, perfume, light, music, and soft cloth. Now, all those 8 outer offerings are usually represented on the shrine or said at the beginning of each sutra practice. Also, we do with the unlimited offerings of mandalas to acquire wealth and good health. These are made not only to the teacher, but to all the teacher's symbols of dakas and dakinis and peaceful deities. And it's done with what they call an offering of everything, the very best of gods and gods of goddesses in the whole universe to the Lama Guru. And some people know how to make this mandala offering. Abby's going to show you. Come. Then you can make the mandala offering.
Okay.
Simply place the hands in this mandala by interlacing the fingers wide open, and then take your thumbs and touch it to your little fingers. The 2 index finger, pointing fingers wrap around the middle fingers, and the 2 ring fingers back to back. And what this symbolizes is Mount Meru and all of the universes in the 4 directions. Mount Meru being the center of gods and goddesses of the 2 higher realms of rebirth, and the other 4 placement of the outer fingers is the 4 directions where humans animals and spirits take birth. Then we say, we bless this ground with scented water and flowers and offer everything in the universe as the best of gods and goddesses enclosed in a circle of iron mountains, which means all of it restricted to the emotional programs of God and humans. And then we imagine that all of this goes to the Lama and all of the support of all Dharma practice. And so each and every one of us doing these practices attains a state of good health and wealth. Om Mandala Puja Me Gasa Muja Samparana Samaye Om. So when we make this Soha, that means this is always increasing and going to the benefit of each and every sentient being. That is the third level of tantric, of sutra and tantric practice, spiritual practice. The fourth level is guru yoga, which simply recognizing the Lama as the example of all the lineage teachers, men and women, that have evolved from the teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha 2,600 years ago in India, Tibet, Himalayan countries, and now in the world today. All of them, we have what we call guru yoga practices, which are many. But the one I use the most comes from the Nungdo practice, which is the fourth level of spiritual practice, summed up as a preliminary practice to all sutra and tantra. And it goes like this. Myself and all sentient beings, my mothers, pervading space, go to the Lama, perfect Buddha. Myself and all sentient beings, my mothers, pervading space, go to the Lama, the Dharma, the all-pervasive nature of the Dharmakaya. Myself and all sentient beings, my mothers, we go to the Lama of the bliss and energy of the Yidam practices, the Sambhogakaya. Myself and all sentient beings, my mothers, go to the Lama, the Namanakaya of loving kindness, compassion, power, and insight, which trains the mind of sentient beings and causes them to become fully realized Buddhas in one lifetime. Now there are many, many Guru Yogas, and all of them are incorporated to everything we just did. Taking refuge, Vajrasattva, making offerings, and any form of Guru Yoga. Most of this stemmed in our tradition from Padmasambhava and Yeshe Tsogyal in the 8th and 9th centuries down to the present day. And then the Kagyu, Nyingmapa, and Geglupa traditions which exist on the planet today. All of those traditions are summed up as Guru Yoga. When we use a stupa, the stupa is stupa, or we say chur dren in Tibetan, means offering of the Buddha's mind as the natural state of the universe and that other function of our consciousness, the natural mind, which is what we are moving very fast to with this, all of these spiritual practices of Tibetan Buddhist training, Bodhisattva training. Now, when we do the final three practices, they're incorporated in prayer form in the text of the sutra, but they are that you are always honoring this teacher for his or her virtuous activity of being a guru. Number two, we always request that teacher to stay in this world and never pass into celestial realms or states of nirvanic bliss. Number three, always teach all the aspects of the Dharma, Sutra, Tantra, and those connecting methods of Mahamudra, which are common to both. And then always remembering whatever virtuous activity we do individually or collectively to dedicate the merit formally to the benefit of all sentient beings, which we do at the end of practice session, which we'll do at the end of tonight's practice session. Now, all of that is summed up as Tibetan Buddhist shamanistic Lamaism. And when we approach this mind training program, we start off wherever we are. And so the first level of practice, no matter what type of spiritual practice we're doing, we have what we call the Hinayana vehicle. And this word Hinayana comes from the word Hindu, but it simply means that it's all for the relative level of where you start. And that relative level applies to every practitioner of Tibetan Buddhist practice. Theravada tradition, Mahayana tradition, Vajrayana tradition, Mahamudra or Dzogchen tradition. You don't disassociate that, because the Sangha all of the Sangha will be operating, some at this Hinayana level, some at the Mahayana level, and some at the Tantric level, and a very few already established in the Mahamudra state. That's it. In other words, there's nothing beyond that. So the second aspect of this training session tonight is to explain the kayas, the vehicles, which I said them when I said the Guru Yoga of may all beings, my mother's filling space, take refuge with the Dharmakaya. May all beings, my mothers, take refuge with the Lama as the Sambhogakaya. May all beings, my mothers, take refuge with the Lama as the Nirmanakaya. May all beings, my mothers, take refuge with the Lama as the Buddha. That's called the Svabhavika or Trinley Kaya. Now these 5 kayas are incorporated into the sutra and tantric practices based on the development stages of the Hinayana level. So you start to merge the Hinayana with the Mahayana by taking refuge, doing sutra practice, or doing the 5, we call 5 elements practice, or the 3 lights practice, or any practice that doesn't require what we call the path of skillful means, guidance with the Lama being the deity and giving the empowerment of those 3 vehicles, the kaya, 3 kayas. Now these kayas are actually Buddha energy fields that we are growing, developing, and evolving into in our mind training of the deity. So when you take refuge with Chenrezig or Tara, you're taking refuge with these 5 kayas. 3 of them are incorporated into the transmission of the deity's empowerment with Om, Ah, and Hum. And then these 3 develop into the energy of one taste called the Buddha field of equanimity, which is the 4th kaya called the Svabhavika kaya. And then the discerning mind of awareness is the all-pervasive nature of mind called the Dharmakaya. We already possess all these in our natural mind, but they must be developed, assimilated as all Guru Yoga, the mind of the teacher, merging with your mind, and then purified with practice. Without practice, no accomplishment. So understanding the Dharmakaya, the all-pervasive nature, is kind of like the Buddha field of, we say, Vairocana Buddha, which is the clarity of the mind's nature with understanding on how to apply that. When we do that, that's the all-pervasive nature, that's called the Dharmakaya, or Dharma vehicle. And we already have that because the mind can think of anything. It's already omnipresent. It's already omnipotent, which means all-powerful. And it's already omniscient, which means all-knowing. It's already that way. And so the drama mind, very limited, very constricted, unable to evolve. So that Dharmakaya is this energy field. When we say the Sambhogakaya, all the deities are involved with these 5 Buddha fields with the 5 jewel crown. It doesn't matter if they're peaceful or wrathful deities. They're all in this fully realized state of these 5 kayas, or 5 states of awareness together. When you bring the body, speech, and mind, that's the first 3 kaya. That's the Sambhogakaya, the Dharmakaya, and the Nirmanakaya. That's the mind of the Lama with all of the deity. When you practice, those 3 start to move you into the state of how to use those 3, plus knowing everything is equal. That judgmental mind doesn't work. It's called the state of equanimity. And what that simply means is, because you have this tendency, this habit to judge everything, yourself, your body, your sensual perceptions, your thought, and the world around you, and everything in the world, because you have that, you're lacking this ultimate nature of mind of everything being equal, or one taste. Why? Because of that predestined or preset judgment habit, emotionality arises. It's a spontaneous effect, but it's inherent in every sentient being, and it is the cause of these painful rebirths, human, animal, and spirit world. It's the cause. So when you say the 5 kayas and those 8 levels of spiritual practice that I just went through, and we did, it's all to remove 100% any form of emotional response, any form, based on judgment. So the judgment call is recognized as the cause, and the reactive mind is the result. Then from that comes all pain and suffering, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And when you take birth in the human condition with the judgment mind, you're guaranteed to age, sick, and die as an ordinary human being. I have to laugh because that's a lot. And now we are totally experiencing that worldwide. So I want you to understand that when you move into from the Hinayana to the Mahayana, that becomes the foundation for Tantrayana or Vajrayana. When you get to Vajrayana, the total purpose is to remove fear entirely of all emotional conflict that evolves from that fear. So that means to delete all your attachment, your aversion, your pride, your jealousy, your ignorance, and your neediness. greed, never being satisfied. Those are those 6 categories involve uncountable emotional tendencies. They say 84,000, but that's just so you get an idea of how dangerous the emotional conflicting mind of the drama world is. And today, it's in full action on the planet, and every human being is in that state. So we do this practice of the kayas by sitting with your back straight, eyes in front, mouth closed, hands comfortable, head tilted forward, tongue resting against the palate. Breathe. And move into the path of skillful means, which is the Tantrayana, tantric vehicle, which is all 5 vehicles together in one program. See the Lama in front. We start to receive the initiation of the first level of path of skillful meanings as the tantric deity of Chenrezig, the Buddha of compassion, the Bodhisattva of compassion, power, and insight, whose realm is infinite clear light, which is the energy program of the universe. From the Lama's forehead, white light enters your forehead is the first empowerment to become the deity of the we say Sambhogakaya, a bliss energy of tantric deity yoga practice, starting with Chenrezig, then evolving into all 1,000 deities of the 5 Buddha family. Then we receive red light from the Lama's throat. This becomes the power of being the deity's rainbow body evolving in your speech. All the inner channels and nadis are now lit up, actualized as the deity's speech, which we call mantra. So the red light from the Lama's throat is to activate that empowerment. Number 3, blue light from the Lama's heart chakra to your heart chakra activates the Dharmakaya, the infinite healing potential of wisdom itself applied to infinite sentient beings in samsara, which is this world. Then the Lama's 3 lights shining simultaneously. When you can see that, the Lama merges into you, and the Lama's full energy program is downloaded into you like water into water. And that is called the Svabhavika Kaya of the body, speech, and mind being in union with the mind of the Guru. Body, speech, and mind of the Guru. At that point, simply rest in the state of timeless awareness. So everything the Lama empowering you to do now all dissolves into a point of light in the center of your heart chakra. And that tiny particle of light connects to every particle of light or energy throughout the boundless fabric of space. So you are resting in the dimension of infinite potential. Equal to the infinite potential of the entire universe. Relax, simply be present, and contemplate space. The mother element of everything and everyone. Then from this dimension of infinite potential, again with your imagination and focus together, create the particle in your heart chakra. Imagine it to grow into a tiny sphere of clear light, accessing this three-dimensional world that we inhabit. Then that small sphere of clear light, maybe small as a dime or a small seed, grow it into a 5-colored sphere of light about the size of your thumbnail in your heart chakra. Mark it with the sound home. The home is the three-dimensional functioning of the infinite potential of your own mind to produce healing for all sentient beings inhabiting space, physically, mentally, emotionally, and most importantly, spiritually. This emphasizes compassion, power, and insight, which is the modality of the deity Chenrezig. You become, with the empowerment of the lineage and the Lama, this rainbow body Yidam practice. See yourself with 4 arms, dressed in silks and jewels, the right arm holding the symbol of a lotus, which is the compassion of taking birth in the human condition for helping sentient beings attain Buddhahood, and the right hand holding a mala or a vajra, symbolizing the tantric practice of recognizing voidness as the state of your natural mind and everything in the universe. Two hands in devotion to the heart, which is absolutely necessary because everything we are doing is Guru Yoga. And this puja of Guru Yoga is to the benefit of all beings interconnected to us like a mother for her only child, completely unconditional. The deity is dressed in silks, 5 colors to symbolize the 5 elements, 6 kinds of jewels to represent the 6 kinds of bodhisattva practices we talked about earlier. 5 jewel crown is the 5 kayas, the 5 vehicles of the 5 Buddha families. Smiling, young, healthy, radiating 5-colored light as healing energy in every direction to all sentient beings. When you can see yourself as this symbol of compassion, power, and insight, Chenrezig, then you project it to your mother in front. She is life-size facing you as the deity. Then to your father, all relatives, lovers, friends, adversaries, enemies. As Chenrezig, the whole human race of 8 billion humans is Chenrezig. All the animals in the ocean, on the land, Chenrezig. And all the infinite spirits that fill the entire universe in the 4 realms of rebirth of spirits, this deity. With the mind filled with this light and light beings, the mantra, heart mantra appears inside the 5-color sphere, and in the center of the heart mantra stands the symbol Hri. This is the infinite light energy of this Buddha field being this universe being this Buddha field. Then you sound the mantra to activate this program. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. 3. Now what you just did, or what you are doing, are activating the 5 vehicles. The Nirmanakaya vehicle is actually connecting all of the spiritual practices mentioned before to the Hinayana, Mahayana, and Vajrayana levels of practice. But this Nirmanakaya is the Lama connecting to you as the deity Chenrezig, as what we call the Sambhogakaya, the vehicle of light energy of the deity, which is completely illusory, replacing the appearance or the idea of your ordinary body and everything you are sensing and thinking about as the energy of light itself, completely illusory. And then by projecting this with the mantra to all sentient beings, you create the Dharmakaya of the all-pervasive nature of your mind is simply the all-pervasive nature of every sentient being in your mandala. With this wisdom nature in place as the deity and the Nirmanakaya, loving kindness, compassion, and power inside of the Lama, you produce the Svabhavikakaya of energy and bliss together. And that arises with the practice of the mantra, the deity, and creating the mandala. Then you move to the Trinity Kaya of the activity accomplishing whatever is appropriate, whatever is necessary to gain realization so that you go beyond the limits of growth and development into higher and higher states of awareness. In other words, you're evolving as the Bodhisattva to the level of Buddhahood or complete realization. And the Trinlikaya is the activity that results from you doing the first four kaya. Connecting to the Lama as the Guru, merging the Lama with the technique of empowerment called Wong, doing the practice and gaining the realizations as a result of the practice of your true nature, which is ultimate Buddhahood. That's it. So you simply gather all the sentient beings in your mandala, this Dharmakaya effect, into the deity, the Sambhogakaya. Remember, Kaya means vehicle, of bliss energy. Then that all dissolves into you, the energy of the Lama, the Nirmanakaya, so that loving kindness, compassion, power, and insight of the activity of the Lama becomes your activity. And for that to take place, you disappear into your heart center, into voidness, like space, which is timeless in the present moment. Follow the sound of the bell. In this accomplishment stage of practice, simply translated, means to take the first stage, the creation stage, or whatever teachings you've been hearing or contemplating, into voidness. But voidness is a state of infinite potential like space. And that infinite potential, called the Trinly Kaya, the action Kaya, is accomplished through the Buddha nature and all of the protector and Dakini deities. And those practices of those deities, together with the human involvement of the Sangha and all the lineage masters that are alive on the world today, on the planet today. To give you an example of how this works for us here in Hawaii, we are in the process of trying to acquire a house located on the property next to the stupa. The stupa land is a 501c3 nonprofit on its own. But the house has been abandoned and now is in a state of foreclosure, but up for auction. So our Sangha is in the process, with the help and guidance of our teachers, for instance, Lama Rinchen and Kala Rinpoche and many others, to do what is ever necessary spiritually and monetarily to acquire that house to be a Dharma center because of its appropriate location to the stupa. And all of that will come to fruition August 4th, next month.
This,
Just to let you know that if anybody wants to help monetarily for us to gain the title to this house through the auction process here on Kauai that will take place on August 4th. It is going to be televised, and Abby at aloha.net can give you more information about that. But if we acquire this property, then that will become a Dharma center with its own Lama and daily teachings and access to the power and energy of this stupa that has been in place since we started building it in the 90s. This is how this state of infinite potential works for we say the Dharmakaya, Svabhavika Kaya, and Trinly Kaya work, produce, get results. And this is why we have Dharma centers on all the islands in Hawaii, main islands in Hawaii today, all functioning and all with Tibetan lamas and teachers in place. Now, to more understand the teachings presented tonight. Directly above my head is the deity Manjushri. And it's all about gaining a realization of your own true nature and understanding how to use that appropriately with the proper attitude and devotion and respect to the Lama and teachers. And this word appropriate is also combined with the word sustainable, which means how it works with the present situation of the environment and the beings in it. Present time, today, in the world, we do the Manjushri practice. Now, this is an extremely skillful method to gain insight into these 7 levels of spiritual practice culminating in Mahamudra and the 5 vehicles of the 5 Dhyana Buddhas cultivating in realization of Mahamudra, your natural mind. But most importantly, how to use that. It's like Google. So this is the Tibetan Google practice. Sit with your back straight, hands in a comfortable position, head slightly tilted, mouth closed, tongue resting against the palate, eyes slightly open. Key into the space and light in front of your eyes, which is the nature of everything. Infinite energy. Understand you have received the empowerment of the Lama's body, speech, and mind. The Lama dissolves into you. Those 3 lights hit your 3 places in your central channel, head, throat, and heart. They all come together in the heart chakra and produce the seed cell through Om, On, Hum to D. Now you are Manjushri with the seed syllable D in your heart center in red, surrounded by a 5-colored sphere of light. This activates all the energy light channels called nadis throughout your body and makes it possible to project this Manjushri rainbow body to your mother and all sentient beings. Creating the path of skillful means to activate the infinite potential of your own mind to produce whatever is appropriate, sustainable, and benefit to others. Manjushri appears with a reddish glow, young, male aspect, smiling, healthy, with a Vajra handle blazing sword raised in the sky to cut through delusion, ignorance, and so forth. Left hand, ring, and thumb hold the stem of a lotus that blooms by your left ear, holding the text of Prajnaparamita, stating simply, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. That is the ultimate realization called voidness or Mahamudra of Tibetan Buddhism. Dressed in silks and jewels like the deity Chenrezig, 5-jewel crown, sitting on a 32-petal lotus, sun and moon disk in space. Once you can see yourself as this holographic rainbow body of Manjushri, connect with the 5 colors of silks and the 6 kinds of jewels and the 5-jewel crown, all of that emanating light like the sun to the solar system. Then you project it to your mother who created you in front facing you. Then you project it to your father, all relatives, lovers, friends, all beings you have karma with, pets, spirits, everybody, Manjushri. Then the 8 billion humans on the planet today, Manjushri. No matter what your judgment is about any one of them. Then all the animals in the ocean and on the land, Manjushri. And in your mind, you're creating this mandala of this deity of sentient beings pervading the entirety of space, so the whole spirit world of infinite, uncountable spirits, animals, and humans. Fill your mind as Manjushri. This causes the heart mantra to appear around the letter red D in the 5 colors sphere of light. The mantra letters are arranged clockwise, letters facing outward. The D in these mantra letters fill your energy channels of your body, and the light then escapes, benefiting limitless sentient beings you have karma with around you in space. And you sound the mantra with your voice. It is stationary and stays that way with this mantra. Om, Ar, Ra, Pa, Sa, Na, Di, So, Ha. Sa is spelled TSA. It means pure, like best kind of offerings are called sasa. The pure mind, no judgment, no emotional attachment or greediness. D means insight and knowledge together. Home, the clear light energy of the universe penetrating your stream of being, your mind. Ah, the sound of the energy of that activated. Ra, the heat, the fire, the warmth of it. Sa, the holiness, the sacredness of it. Na, the channeling of it through your body and everywhere. D, this energy of light itself, all pervasive, Amitabha Buddha, infinite light, nature of mind, nature of everything. Svaha, the Sambhogakaya and Dharmakaya activated. Om Aravatsa Nadi Soha. 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 Nadi Soha, Om Arapata 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 Pasa Nadi Soha Omara 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 Pasa Nadi Soha Pasa Nadi Soha Omara Pasa Nadi Soha Omara Pasa Nadi Soha Omara Pasa Nadi Soha Omara Pasa Nadi Soha. Having generated this mandala applied to infinite sentient beings, now we apply it to the six realms of the rebirth of these sentient beings, to the four spirit worlds and all the planets where animals and humans take birth. These six realms incorporate all of the world of sentient beings, this universe. Then you visualize the mantra D level marked on the sword, standing upright in your heart center, about the length of your thumb. The D on the blade in red. This blazing blade rests on six other blades, Vajra handles, pointing in six directions. Then the mantra appears Arapatana So Ha on those six blades. So we just say the mantra and visualize that the D is the ultimate realization of compassion, power, and insight of Manjushri, and all sentient beings accomplish that. All the four realms of the spirit world, the celestial world, the demigod worlds of the war and war gods, the deprived worlds of the spirits, deprived spirits, and the demonic lower realms of the hell realm. All of this incorporated with two blades for wherever animals and humans are, they all Manjushri. Omara Paja Nadi, 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 Omara Paja Nadi. Completely free of emotionality and judgment. Deleted entirely in the six realms of sentient being. Omara Paja Nadi, 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 Omara Paja Nadi. Omara Paja Nadi, 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 Omara Paja Nadi. Omara Paja Nadi, Omara Paja Nadi, Omara Paja Nadi, Omara Paja Nadi, Omara Paja Nadi. Omara Paja Nadi, Omara Paja Nadi, Omara Paja Nadi, Omara Paja Nadi, Omara Paja Nadi. Omara Paja Nadi, 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 Omara Paja Nadio Mara Paja Nadio Mara Paja Nadi So Ha. Holding your visualization of Manjushri, the mantra seeds all as these six swords and the central sword standing upright marked with D, and all the energy of compassion, power, and incense permeating all six realms, causing all emotionality to disappear, all judgment disappear, delete, understanding and clarity pervading your mind as a state of Mahamudra, this state of infinite light of the realm of Amitabha. You focus on just the D in red in your heart center. Then all sentient beings pervading space dissolve into you. You, as the central figure, Manjushri, disappear into the six blades. They disappear into the central blade, and it disappears together with the five colored light and everything into the D. Focusing on the red D, which looks like this. Sound the D. Just focusing on the D, nothing else. Everything in your mandala has disappeared into this vibratory sound of infinite energy as light, pervading space. Your natural mind, the nature of everything in union. D. As soon as you sound that, infinite light radiates from your heart center like a supernova throughout space, beyond the solar system, beyond the galaxy. D, 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 D. Now we have concluded tonight's practice of the 7 levels of spiritual practice, the 8th level being the dedication, which we are going to do now, and the 5 kayas of tantric practice together with the 5 dhyana Buddhas, which include all of the peaceful and protector and dakini symbols of Tibetan Buddhist practice. This 8th level is voidness accomplishment of Mahamudra, which is usually accessed by contemplation of the infinite potential of space, symbolizing the nature of your own mind's infinite potential to accomplish whatever is appropriate, whatever is sustainable and beneficial. These words are very important in Tibetan Buddhism because at the Nirmanakaya level, together with the Hinayana level of practice, where you merge the Nirmanakaya of the Guru with your practice, the loving kindness, compassion, and power and insight of the Guru is your own nature. When you do that, you stepped on the path to ultimate realization by taking refuge and so forth. And so you start in the Hinayana to grow and develop. Then you move into this path of skillful means of the 5 dhyana Buddhas as the 5 kayas being activated. Nirmanakaya, Sambhogakaya, Dharmakaya, Svabhavikakaya, we call the Union Kaya, and the Trinli Kaya. Action of the deity, action of the Buddhas, those human beings who have reached maturity, activating the infinite potential of their own consciousness equal to the infinite potential in union with the universe, with the benefit of all living beings as the motivation. So therefore, all harm is removed to self, others, and the environment. Therefore, you establish yourself in the evolving reality of bliss awareness. And there's no ceiling to that. You know, you don't have to look for some high and mighty end. It's just who you are, without emotionality and judgment. That's it. It's not a biggie. It's what the universe is designed for us. So the dedication prayers that Kala Rinpoche left for us kind of sum this up, and there were many, and so do the auspicious prayers for the long life, good health, and rebirth of our teachers back into this world. Those are called the Tashi prayers. And that all the lamas have long life, good health, happiness, and prosperity. And all their wishes for them. All of that is the 8th level of spirituality dedication. So this one I'm going to read tonight was written by Kala Rinpoche for us. It's called simply a dedication prayer. This is number 8 level. In this way, by these virtuous actions and activities tonight, and by our daily practice of love and kindness, exemplified by my parents to me, and by the teachings of bodhicitta by my lamas, and my personal commitment to all my Vajra sisters and brothers of this Tantric Sangha, and the connection between myself and all men and women on the planet today, I'm offering all my possessions and all the benefits of the beasts and burdens from whom I take milk and yogurt to drink, and the animals whose flesh and blood I eat. To all of these, without leaving one behind, may they quickly reach the sublime and perfect state of Buddhahood in the human condition. And I might add that they all become my students in future lives. Every sentient being that I see, touch, or think about. All the animals and spirits in the entire universe, all of them become my students in future life. Then we do our dedication prayer, the Kagyu lineage dedication prayer. Dewa di nerdu dog, chagya chempo jugerne, drowa chinking malu pa, deyi sala gopar sho, sanjay kusum dempai jem la don, choni megur dempai jem la don, gendu miche dempai jem la ki, chitar gongwa monlang ju par sho. By this virtue of having realized Mahamudra, may I quickly establish all beings without a single exception in that state. By the blessings of the 3 bodies of the Buddha, and actually the 5 kayas of the Buddha being accomplished, and by the truth of this Dharma being unchanging, and by the wishes of the Sangha, that's us, being unwavering, may this and all dedication prayers be fulfilled. May all the lamas have long life, good health, happiness, and prosperity. May all their wishes be fulfilled. May all sentient beings be happy, free of suffering, established in bliss and equanimity, abandoning attachment, aversion, pride, jealousy, stupidity, bewilderment, ignorance, and delusion, anxiety, depression, and fear. Right now, today. Uchiche, mahalo, thank you. Aloha and tashi delay and juicy dream.